Alright, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of CSS, the basic CSS, and specifically CSS selectors and how you can use them to help out your documents. CSS selectors are basically ways of pointing to specific items on your page. So start off, HTML, close the HTML, open a body, well actually we'll open the head, close the head, open a body, close the body. We'll open a style, type equals text/CSS, and close the style. Okay. In the body, we want to create a div. Well, let's see what this looks like. Obviously, it'll be blank. There we go. I want to create a box. So box is a div. So div. We'll give it a class because we're going to have multiple divs. And we can do this box just like that, and that will give us a box. Because we're using class, we can have multiple classes. So this is perfectly acceptable. You can do this. But classes versus IDs. IDs are supposed to be specific. You can only have one. So I can set the ID of this one, which is just fine. But if I do it down here, that's illegal. You can't do that. Well, I forgot the quote here too. But this is illegal. You can't have multiple classes. You can't have multiple IDs. You can't do that. You can have multiple classes though. So to be correct syntax, you have to get rid of that. And if you wanted to have multiple classes, you could have box, space, square. So now you have two classes applied to the same element. Perfectly acceptable. Okay? So there's the difference. Now, we don't need both of these applied. We just need the one box. There we go. So what do we do with a box? To get to a box, first in the style header, we want a div that has the class box. And we want to give it a width of 100 pixels, a height of 100 pixels, a background color, black, and then we want to pull it away from the page just a little bit. Don't forget your semicolon. And we want to give a margin all the way around to 20 pixels. Okay, we'll take a look at that. There's our box. Okay, now, if we have another element that has a box, like that, this will give us two boxes. But if we do text area having the same properties, okay, this will not work because, and you can see it didn't work, because we're referring to the div that has the class box. Okay? If we just did dot box, then it would affect every element that had that class. You see, this is actually a text area. Okay? See the difference? We'll get rid of this text area. We don't really want that. So that's how you refer to one element. So now, let's create a table so we can get some more in depth here. Create a table. We'll give it an ID. This is unique. Table ID equals my table. And tables have a table row. And tables also have a table data. Okay, and we'll just put some text here. I am text. Okay, and we'll make this a little bit bigger here. 3 and 3 here. Okay, so what would we have to do? This is our table. There we go. We'll go ahead and give this a border so we can see what's going on. Border equals 1. So what would we have to do if we wanted to style each cell? Well, we could go in here and give each one a class. Class equals TD, right? So give that a TD and give that a TD and give that the class, and then we actually have to make the class. So TD.TD or just TD would work. And we want to say margin 20 pixels. Okay, and that will do our top row. TD.TD, let's see. TD class equals TD, right? Margin 20. What did I miss? .TD, close it, margin 20 pixels. Oh, that's right. Margin's the outside. Padding, 20 pixels. There you go. Okay. So padding 20 pixels for the TD. And you could do TD.TD. Sorry about that. See, both work. But you see here that I have to type in class equals TD, class equals TD, class equals TD, and I'm going to do it down here again for all of them. Obviously, there's going to be a better way. So without having to type any extra code, I can refer to every single TD on this table. And I could just do every TD. Every TD. We could do that. But what if we had another table that we wanted to be different? We don't want to do that. So how do we get more specific without typing in more information? Well, you refer to the table. So we'll refer pound for the ID, my table. Space, so child, tr, space, child, td. So the tables child, child. And that will give us the right effect. So if I have another table that is not have that ID, so if I were to copy this whole table right there and not have it that ID, that table is not affected, even though this entire table is. So you can see how advantageous it is to do this. Okay, let's get rid of that one, taking up space. So that's how you refer to a bunch of cells. Now, another thing we can do here is check out link selectors. So if we create a bunch of links, ahref equals quote http.com, right, Google, okay, we create some line breaks so we can see it better. Okay, there we go. So we take a look at that. We have Google. Okay, let's actually mix that up a little bit. Yahoo, MSN, and how about games? Okay, Yahoo, MSN, and games. And just for the example, we'll give this one a name, MSN, and this one name, games. Okay? Now it's just different. There you go. So what we want to do is change, let's say we want to change all links. So to change all the links on the page, you would do A, and we would do font size 20 pixels. Okay, that changes every link on the page. What if you want just links that have the name attribute, which is those bottom two? So A, bracket, name, bracket. Now we can refer and say color, or let's say background color, so we can see it better. We'll do black. Okay, so now every link that has the attribute name will get this. Well, what if we want whatever element has the attribute name set to, say, MSN? Very specific now. This will only, we'll change this one to green. This one will only affect this one. You see how what it's doing? Now, what if we wanted to do only ones that had name and an href set? Okay, that will obviously give us the exact same effect. But what if we had another MSN that didn't have an href? So let's just say we had another MSN out here that did not have the href. It was just a name. Okay, that one's yellow. So basically you can see how you can combine selectors by using the bracket system. Okay, and if you just do the brackets by itself like this, then it's if whatever the value happens to be, that allows you to use it. So this is a very, very tricky way to do this trick. Now, we can add the colon hover to any of these. So colon hover will make this blue when you hover over it. Blue, blue, blue. Okay? You can add the colon hover to even these. So colon hover. Okay? We'll still make that yellow. So yellow, yellow, yellow. You got the idea? So what you're able to do is not only can you select certain elements if they have certain attributes and then apply a certain event to it and then be able to do multiple things. And you can see the inheritance order here has this gets taken and then this overwrites it and then this overwrites it and then this overwrites it. Okay, so that's the order that it takes. So the last thing that we can do is note that this is not just for links. So if I want to make this div here, and if I wanted to make any div that had the class, well, any div that has the class to box, okay, I could affect it and say width 500 pixels, which will affect that top one, okay. So basically, the ways to do the same thing are multiple. You can do div.box to do the exact same thing. So that you could do div, instead of that you could do div.box, and because same thing, and because this is the page, we could almost just do any div. Really, there's only one div on the page. For this instance, you could just do div. And oh, actually okay, that's right, to note here, okay, you can't do any div because this is more specific than this. So specific tags overwrite general tags, so keep that in mind when you're doing this. Hope you learned a lot here, and this is just some general information. If you really need more information, you can go to the W3C site to see all the specifications for CSS selectors.